Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Mental Health on the Mat. It's a yoga practice that blends mental health tools with yoga practice to integrate body and mind. My name is Kelsey Wyman. I'm a therapist and yoga teacher in Washington State, and I love combining these two tools, and so I hope you enjoy this class and feel more integrated in your wholeness of your experience. For this month, we've been working on the theme of the elements, and this week we will be focusing on the element of water. So, everything that is fluid and movement. Last week we focused on earth and finding stillness, and today we will be focused on finding the movement that is even within the stillness. You may notice this blowing in the wind, it'll help cue your mind to focus on that movement that happens. Let's start with a breath as part of our meditation. So, making yourself comfortable wherever you are at, taking off your shoes. You can do this meditation seated, standing, whatever works for you. Because it's a breath meditation, it might be better to do it seated or laying down. We're going to focus on a cooling breath, which will be hopefully cooling to our nervous system, and you'll kind of notice that as you try out the breath. So, the mechanics of the breath, you're going to take your tongue and curl it into a little tube, and you'll be breathing in through the tube, but then out through your nose. And you can close your mouth and keep the tube of your tongue as you do that. So it looks like this, curling your tongue, breathing in, closing your mouth, and breathing out through your nose. Great. Let's go ahead and practice that a few times as we sink into the moment and start our practice. Go ahead and curl your tongue, breathing in and out. Breathing in through your curled tongue, noticing the cool sensation, the cool air in your mouth, closing your mouth and breathing out through your nose. Go ahead and do this at your own pace, breathing in through your tube tongue and out through your nose. As you do this cooling breath, again finding that place of movement, feeling the movement of the air as it enters your body and leaves your body. Feeling the movement of your body expanding as you breathe in, contracting as you breathe out. Let's take 3 more big breaths with this cooling breath. Making the last breath you've had the biggest breath you've had all day. And letting it out, letting everything go. We're gonna do our warm-ups today by doing some intuitive rolling. So I'll give you an area of the body to focus on, and then you can move it however it wants to move, calling in some type of movement, however fast, however slow, calling in the energy, the element of water, and however you think that your body might move as if it was water. So let's start with our head and neck. How would it move if your head was made of water, if your neck was made of water? Does it move in one direction in a circle? Does it move in a figure 8? Does it undulate like the waves? And let's add in our shoulders here. Rolling your shoulders together and separately, and adding that into the movement of water. Everything is an offering in this class. So any way it feels good to your body to move, please do. Any way that doesn't feel good, please don't do that movement. Let's add in our chest here. Add in our spine, our neck, our head, our shoulders. How do these 3 parts of our bodies move as if they're water? And let's bring our core to stillness for a moment. And we're going to start just with our fingers. Moving your fingers as if they're water. Adding in the wrists now. Giving yourself total permission to be any iteration of water that your body wants to be. Let's add in our elbows and our whole arm. In this way, you don't have to be balanced. Whatever you do to one side, you don't have to do on the other side, unless that's what your body wants. Okay, let's add back in our core, back in our chest, and our head, and our shoulders. Our whole upper body moving as if it's water. Great. Go ahead and find some stillness with that. We're going to come to standing to add in our legs. And again, just starting with our smallest bit here, starting with your toes. And just wiggling your toes, staying grounded. As you add movement to your toes, and then picking up one foot to add in the ankles here. Adding in the knees. Switching from side to side, creating some balance. And then adding in the hips. Bringing back your core, your head, and of course your arms. Letting your entire body be water. However that looks, however that feels. The mental health tool we're bringing in today is flow state, a term coined by Csikszentmihalyi. And flow state is essentially this state that we can get in that is complete ease of focus, complete concentration that feels easy and good and nourishing. It's characterized by a loss of a sense of self-consciousness and an altered sense of time. Okay, bring your water body back to stillness. In mountain pose, And as your body stands still, see if you can feel into the movement that is still happening in your circulatory system, your blood, your heartbeat, your breath, your respiratory system. Wonderful. And as I mentioned, each element has its own salutation, just like we do sun salutation frequently in vinyasa yoga classes. Today I will teach you the water salutation to open our water practice for the day. We're going to start in mountain pose at the top of our mat here. Hips squared to the top of the mat, toes pointed forward, palms pointed forward, joints stacked. And we're going to inhale our arms up and exhale into a forward fold. Reach down towards the mat. We'll do it nice and slow to warm up our body even further, since there are some big poses in our water salutation. Just let your arms hang here for a moment. You can grab onto opposite elbows. Let your neck be soft. Take a breath into your low back. Still finding that movement, maybe rocking side to side, maybe nodding your head yes and no. Releasing your grips on your hands. Your hands are, you're not going to come all the way up. You can use your hands to support you on the mat if you need to, sending your left leg back to come into a lunge first. And then we're going to bring our arms up and reach our arms as far back as we can, creating a little back bend here. Breathe into the left side of your body, the left front side of your body. Wonderful. Exhale. Plant your hands back down on the mat. They can go right in front of your right foot here. Bring your right foot back so you're in plank, but immediately send your hips up to downward dog. Hips to the sky, shoulders down to the mat. Let's bring in the element of movement by fluttering our feet, knocking our heels side to side, pedaling out our knees. Shifting our weight forward, keeping both feet on the ground. You can pause here in plank if that's all your low back allows for, or you can sink your hips down, chest up and forward, chin up and forward to come into up dog. Great, we're gonna engage our core, pick our hips back up, send them to the sky, shoulders back down for downward dog. Wonderful. Shifting our weight forward, picking our left foot up this time to come into a lunge on the left side. Inhale your arms up. Send them as far back as they can reach, creating an upper back bend here. Palms facing each other. Back heel lifted. You can always check, make sure you can see that big toe on the inside of your left knee. And we're going to send our arms forward down to the mat as we bring our right leg up to meet our left leg, hip distance width apart, back into our forward fold. You can let your arms hang, head hang, maybe interlock those arms on opposite elbows again. And rise on up in your own time, lifting those arms and bringing them back down to mountain pose. Taking a breath here. Each time we pause in a moment of stillness, identifying where you still feel movement in your body. And that's our water salutation. We'll go through it a few more times so that, just gotta tuck my shirt in here, so that our body can get used to it and we can enter flow state. Once we know the moves, we can let go of rehearsing the moves in our head and just let our body be and enter that flow state. I'll guide you a few more times and then you can do it on your own. Let's inhale our arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Bend in the knees, plant your hands on the mat, left leg back, back heel stays lifted, rise on up, arms reaching back for our lunge. Exhale, plant your hands on the mat in front of your toes. Send your right leg back, hips to the sky, downward dog. Shift your weight forward. Again, you can choose plank pose or drop your hips lower for up dog. Engage your core to support your low back here. Send your hips to the sky again. Downward dog. Shift your weight forward. Bring your left foot with you. Rise on up to our lunge. Sending your arms back as far as possible. You'll notice this water salutation has a lot of forward and backward spinal movements. Send your hands down to the mat. Bring your right leg up into our forward fold. Let your body just hang here, relax here, release here. And rise on up to mountain. Wonderful. Arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Shift your weight to the right side, left foot back, arms up, lunge. Exhale, hands down to the mat, right leg back, hips to the sky, downward dog. Shift your weight forward, either plank pose or up dog. Hips to the sky for downward dog. Shift your weight forward, left leg comes with. Arms come up. Arms come down, right leg forward, forward fold, and rise on up. We'll do this 2 more times to really welcome in the energy of water. Once more guided, once on your own. Arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Left leg back. Arms up. Hands down, right foot back, hips to the sky. Shift your weight forward. Hips to the sky. Shift your weight forward, left leg comes with. Arms up. Arms down, right leg forward. Forward fold. Rise on up. It's all right if you didn't get that. You can follow along with the video. One more time. Feeling every element of water in your body, in your joints. Throughout this practice, whatever part works for your body, whatever poses work for your body, try to find a little bit of movement to stay with the flow. We'll return to our water salutation at the end of the practice. For now, you can just go ahead, let it go, and release it. We're going to come to tabletop in the middle of our mat here. And move through some more spinal warm-ups. Go ahead and drop your belly down, chin to the sky. And reverse that direction into cat pose. Maybe rock back and forth a little. Coming back into cow, same thing. All the poses we normally do in a good yoga class with a little extra movement. See if you can create a circular sensation, like drawing a circle with your belly button. So you're gonna tuck your belly button into your spine, send your hips and shoulders forward, then drop your belly button down to the mat, send your hips and shoulders back. Creating that nice little circle with your belly button. Great. Pausing here. Bring your right knee directly below kind of the center of your hips. Stretch your left leg back behind you, toes on the mat. Send your right foot behind you like a little kickstand. Right hand directly below your right shoulder. Send your left hand high up to the sky, opening here in a nice side angle. Send your left hand high overhead. Create that long line between your left leg and left hand. Then let's add some big circle movements here with your left arm circling around. Switching directions. Opening through the left side body. Beautiful. We're going to create some more movement, keeping our legs in the same spot. We're going to exhale our left hand down to the mat. Inhale, open our left hand wide, reaching that left hand as far behind you as you can. And exhale to create a contraction. Inhale to create an expansion. Breathing with your breath, moving with your breath, tying the two together in a fluid movement. And if it helps you get into flow state while you're moving, you can close your eyes, find the balance and the stability of your body. Find the movement in your flowing arm. And exhale everything down. Let's repeat that on the opposite side here. Coming back into tabletop. This time reaching your right leg long as you send your left foot kickstanded behind you. Open up through the right side, right hand up to the sky. And let's find some stability here. First reaching up and then reaching overhead. Adding in the circles. The element of water, some of the characteristics we might be calling in today through this practice are sensitivity, intuition, empathy, emotional release, switching directions with your arm. Water is fluid and expressive, so whatever rises up in you today and wants to be expressed, just welcome it. Give it some airtime. Beautiful. Pausing, we're going to bring our right hand down to the mat in our contracted pose. Inhaling, sending it up and back over to the left side in our expanded pose. Finding a flow here. Listening to your own body, your own breath, your own heartbeat. And coming back to center, planting that right hand on the mat. Back in tabletop position, knees below your hips, hands below your shoulders. We're going to rise on up to a kneeling position, arms reaching up. Bring your left leg forward to a lunge. Stick it out a little bit further so that you can send your hips forward, hands on your knees. Nice low lunge here. Breathing into the space on your right side, just below your belly button, that inside pocket of your right hip. Send your weight backwards, straightening your front leg, planting both hands down on the mat, coming into a kneeling pyramid pose. Breathing this time into this space on the right side sacrum, so just above your right glute muscle, your right low back. And shift your weight forward again. You can keep your hands on the mat. Or lift them gently. We're gonna inhale, lift our chin. Exhale, straighten our front leg, send our chin down to the mat. Inhale to move forward and lift. Exhale to shift our weight backward and lower. Inhale, shifting forward and lifting. Exhale, shifting backward and lowering. Again, maybe you want to close your eyes as you do this repetitive movement, finding that movement in your body, the stability, the balance. One more time. And shifting our weight backwards, planting our left knee back on the mat, and this time sending our right leg forward. Hands on our front knee to lower into this lunge. First, starting with our breath. Breathing into this space on the lower left side of your abdomen. Shifting your weight backwards by straightening your front leg, hands down on the mat. Breathing now into your lower left back. And finding the rhythm, finding the flow, shifting your weight forward, lifting your chest, your chin, opening, inhaling, and shifting your weight back, straightening that front leg, lowering your chin, your chest down to the mat. Inhaling forward, reaching up. Exhaling backwards, reaching down. Maybe closing your eyes for added difficulty, added sensation. Maybe keeping them open for added stability and balance. And one more time here. Before rising on up, bringing your right leg back to meet your left. Come up onto your feet. We're going to practice a squat here before we go into our next flow. So in your squat, do whatever feels comfortable for your body. Some people need their legs closer together to help them balance. Some people need their legs farther apart. See if you can get your knees going in the same direction as your toes to protect your knees. If squats are comfy for you, you can put the back of your elbows on the inside of your knees, hands together to help press and stretch and open. Maybe you don't sink down as much. Maybe it's more like this is what your squat looks like. Just practicing opening our hips. Hip opening exercises are beautiful for emotional release. So take a moment here in whatever squat pose feels comfy. Breathe into your hips, into your sacrum. Notice if any emotion wants to arise and allow it to be there. Offer it some gratitude for existing, whether it's joy or grief or anger or fear. See if you can move with it just a tiny bit here in this squat. Say thank you to the emotion or the numbness or the nothingness that arose in that moment. Set it aside for now. We're going to come to the next part of our practice, standing at the top of our mat to go through the moon salutation, the moon which controls our oceans, our waves, our tides, to give gratitude and thanks for the moon today. Inhale your arms up. Actually, we're going to start here in the middle of our mat, not at the top of our mat. Great. Inhale your arms up, reaching high. Letting your arms to the side, stepping wide, pointing your toes out at a 90-degree or a 45-degree angle so that your knees can follow as you sink on down into goddess pose. Bending at the wrists, elbows, shoulders, knees, ankles, hips, all at 90 degrees. Rise on up, straightening your legs. Inhale your arms wide to the side. Reach on over to the left ankle, keeping a long line between your left hand and left hand, right hand. Left hand on the inside of your left ankle here. Great. And we're going to come back up to standing just to shift our feet, but we won't always come back up to standing. Point your toes so that they're now pointed towards the left side of your mat in the same direction. Great. We're going to inhale our arms up. Exhale, send our body forward. Our feet now are still about hip distance width apart. Your hands, if they don't reach the mat, can come to your knee. We're doing a standing pyramid pose. If they reach the mat, you can fold forward. Wonderful. Drop your back knee down to the ground. Untuck your foot to come into a kneeling lunge here. Lift your chest. You can place your hands on your front knee. You can raise them up. Reach them back like we were before, slightly behind your head to create that mini back bend. Exhale, send your hands forward, this time on the inside of your left foot. And here we're coming into a half squat. So use your hands to shift your weight onto that kneeling foot. Your other leg stretches long. Great. And for our first switch of the energy here, we're going to use our hands to support us, and I'll show you some other variations you can try later. But we're going to be shifting our weight to the opposite foot. So use your hands to help lift you, pass through a middle squat, and shift to the opposite side. Great, everyone. Turn your body, now rotating to the right side of your mat. Left knee is down. Hands can come up on your right knee. You can tuck or untuck your back toe, whatever is more comfortable for your body. Lift those arms up. Reach them slightly behind your head for this mini upper back bend. And exhale our hands down to the mat. Tuck your back toes now. We're going to be pressing up into our pyramid pose by straightening our front leg. Back heel goes down to the mat, so shorten your stance if you need to. And fold forward into pyramid pose. Our feet are still hip distance width apart, toes pointed towards the short side of our mat. If it's too much of a stretch, you can have your hands on that front knee there. And just like we did on the other side, we're going to come to standing to adjust our feet before going into triangle pose. You'll be shifting your left foot to face the long side of your mat, front foot to face the short side of your mat. Inhaling your arms wide to the side like in Warrior Two, keeping that front leg straight as you hinge at the hips. Right hand on the inside of your right foot, left hand high into triangle pose. So you can get into this same pose starting from pyramid with feet pointed in the same direction, shifting your back foot and then opening just like that, which is what we'll be doing in the future. All right, rise on up. Bring your right foot with you back to the center of your mat, toes out at a 45-degree angle, bending in your knees, coming back into goddess pose, raising your arms on up, keeping those 90-degree angles. Then pressing on up, heel toeing your feet together, back into mountain pose. Let's go through that a few more times just to smooth it out. Widen your stance. Inhale, raise your arms. Exhale, bend to sink into goddess pose. Straighten your legs, send your arms wide to the side. Hinge at the hips. Triangle pose on the left side. Turn your left toes to the short side of your mat. Right toes to the long side of your mat. Bring your right hand down to the mat. Shift your right heel to the back of the mat. Toes all pointed towards the left side of your mat. Folding forward into pyramid pose. Bring your right knee down to the mat. Kneeling lunge. Inhale your arms high. Send them back past your shoulders. Exhale, hands come down to the mat on the inside of your left foot as you switch your weight onto this left side. You can use your hands to walk you across, switching your weight. You can bring your hands to heart center and keep your hands lifted as you shift your weight to the opposite side. Great job, everyone. Plant your hands back down on the mat. Coming into our lunge on the opposite side. Hands on the inside of your right foot here. Inhale your arms up, send your hands back past your shoulders. And plant them back down on the mat, tucking your back toe, straightening through your front leg, shortening your stance a tiny bit into pyramid pose. Turn your back foot, toes towards the long side of your mat, perpendicular to your front foot. Hand on the inside of your bottom foot. Left hand inhaled to the sky. Triangle pose. Engage your core as you press on up. Readjust your stance, toes out at a 45-degree angle. Exhale down into goddess pose. And inhale to rise on up, coming back to mountain. Let's repeat that in the opposite direction. Inhale. Exhale, widen your stance, goddess pose. Straighten your legs, reach on out, hinge at the hips, triangle on the right side. Turn your toes. Right toes facing the short side, left toes facing the long side of your mat. Exhale, bring your left hand down. Shift your toes again, everything facing the short side of your mat. Great, bring that left knee down. Inhale to lift. Exhale, hands on the inside of your right foot, shifting your weight to our half squat. You can use your hands or keep your hands lifted as you shift your weight to the opposite side. Hands down on the mat in front of you. Back to our low lunge here. Inhale to lift. Exhale, plant your hands on the mat, tuck your back toe, straighten your front leg, both toes pointed towards the short side of your mat, pyramid pose. Turn your back toes towards the long side of your mat, left hand on the inside of your left foot, right hand reaches up, triangle pose. Engage your core, lift on up, arms reaching wide. Exhale down into goddess. Rise on up. Wonderful. We're going to do that one more time on the same side, just to balance things out. And then we'll be done with our moon salutation. Inhaling, arms up, stepping your feet wide. Exhaling, goddess pose. Inhale, reach on out, adjust your feet, hinge at the hips, triangle pose. Exhale, bring your arm down, adjust your feet again, pyramid pose. Bring that knee down to the mat on the left side. Inhale, arms up and back, lunge. Exhale, hands on the inside of your right foot, shifting your weight to our half squat. Shifting to the opposite side here. Catching your balance, hands down on the mat, lunge on the left side. Inhaling, arms up. And exhaling into pyramid pose. Adjusting your toes. Rising on up for triangle. Engaging your core as you lift back on up, toes at a 45-degree angle. Exhaling into goddess pose. Press on up, heel toe your feet together. Whew, and let's shake everything out. You can build up the heat, build up the energy, build up the movement and the flow. Bring both hands to your heart. Find stillness in your body. And listen to the movement of your heartbeat. Come back to the top of your mat. Going through our water salutation one more time here. Inhale, raise your hands high. Exhale, forward fold. Shift your weight to the right as you bring your left foot back. Inhale, arms up for crescent pose. Exhale, hands down inside of your right foot. Send your right foot back, hips to the sky. Downward dog. Pedal out your feet here. Shift your weight forward, either for plank or sink your hips lower for up dog. Then send your hips back up to the sky for downward dog. Shift your weight forward, bring your left foot with you this time. Rise on up to our crescent lunge. And exhale, forward fold, bringing your right foot back to the top of the mat. Hanging out here. Roll your spine on up. Back up to mountain pose. We'll flow through our water salutation 2 more times before we wind down our practice for today. See if you can touch in with a water intention that you have. Are you calling in more emotional sensitivity? More sensitivity in general? More intuition? See if each movement here can call that in for you. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, step back. Rise on up. Exhale, hands on the mat, right foot back, hips to the sky. Shift your weight forward, plank or up dog. Hips to the sky, downward dog. Shift your weight forward, left foot comes with, rise on up. Hands to the mat, bring your right foot up and exhale, forward fold. Roll your spine on up. And our last water salutation. Inhale to lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left foot back, arms rise up. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale for plank or up dog. Exhale, back into downward dog. Inhale, left leg forward, rise on up for our lunge. And exhale. Come back to our forward fold. Roll all the way up. Back to mountain pose. Starting our wind down the way that we came in by wiggling our toes, letting our feet be water. You can imagine running your feet through a cool river, adding in the ankles and the knees. Letting every cell of your legs be water. Adding in your hips. Adding in your core and your shoulders and your head. Adding in your arms and your elbows and your wrists. And of course your fingers. Noticing, as we were doing in squat, what emotions are coming up as you move like water. Do you feel joy? Do you feel freedom? Do you feel shame? Do you feel constriction? Just letting whatever movement come through, letting whatever feeling come through. And let's bring ourselves to a seat on our mat. Find a moment of stillness here. If you need to hold your breath or your heart, you can do that. Check in with yourself. See if at any point in today's practice you were able to enter flow state. That feeling of focus that is just so easy to be with. That feeling of an absence of self-consciousness and a loss of time. And if not, maybe name for yourself what are other ways that you do find flow state. or set an intention to figuring that out, to finding a way if you're not quite sure. Let's lower ourselves down onto our backs, bringing our knees up into our chest. And we're going to rock side to side to massage our low back here. You can rock the other way by placing your hands on your knees and pushing your knees away from you and pulling them closer to your chest, supporting your legs as you do this so that you don't have to use your ab muscles. They can just totally relax. And we have about a minute here or so to take any last movements your body needs to complete today's movement practice. And finally, you're going to find yourself in the most comfortable Shavasana position you've ever been in. Maybe. We'll see, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe lying on your back, your palms to the sky. Maybe lying in fetal position. Envisioning being in the amniotic fluid you were born from. You can practice the cooling breath from earlier, or let all of the practices go and just integrate. A good way to integrate is to make a list in your mind of all the things that you learned, remembered, the sensations you felt, and then let that list go. As always, my voice will guide you when it's time to come out of Shavasana. So now you can fully relax and fully release to your mat. Letting your breath be like the waves as it fills your lungs and flows back out. Let it fill your lungs again, fill your belly, and flow back out. Let the blood in your body continue to flow all the way to your extremities, to your fingertips, to your toes. And slowly make your way back up to a seated position to come out of your yoga practice for today. That concludes our flow with the water element. Find a way to thank yourself, to thank the water. You can pull some spit in your mouth and then swallow and really, really offer the water of your body some gratitude. You can bow, you can hug, you can do a clap, anything you need to close today's practice for yourself. As always, I'm so, so, so grateful for everyone for joining me in this practice. Next week, we will be working with the element of fire, which I'm really excited about. So I hope to see you all then. Bye.